I mean, this is kind of a personal question, but did you have a cuckoo clock when you were a kid? Welcome to the very first episode of Keeping Commerce Weird. I'm your host, Travis Hess, CEO of Commerce. Everybody's got their own flavor of podcast out there. You're probably thinking, why do we need another one of these? And you know what? I had the same thought and was reluctant at first to actually do one. However, that being said, I wanted to celebrate something that was unique to the business here and unique to Austin. And hence the weirdness element of just commerce in general. And let's just get this out of the way. When I say weird, I don't mean bad. I don't mean strange or off-putting. I mean honest, right? Authentic, quirky, human. You know, the parts of commerce that don't fit into a Gartner quadrant, but shape how people actually buy and where everything is kind of going. So kind of a different take on the space and the industry that I would find interesting, and hopefully you find interesting, because at the end of the day, having spent a long time in the space, commerce is full of a lot of unexpected stories and niche brands, really sharp operators and brilliant minds, creative weirdos who are changing how we shop every day. And to be honest, with all the AI and agentic advancement in commerce, it's gotten really freaking weird. And the hope here is to kind of shine a light on that entire side of the industry. No jargon, no polish, no bullshit, just basically real, authentic conversations of what's happening now and kind of where everything is heading, at least from our perspective. And for the first episode here, there's no better person, in my opinion, to kick this off than the one who's helped the world see who we really are here at Commerce, our Chief Marketing Officer, Michelle Suzuki. Michelle has been at the heart of our transformation, redefining the brand and shaping the narrative and making sure everything we do is anchored in customer success. Michelle, welcome to the inaugural episode of Keeping Commerce Weird. Let's get into it.
Thanks for having me on. It's a real pleasure to be here. I think I really appreciate the weird factor. I wear weirdness as a badge of honor. And I love that we're celebrating these kinds of brands that are really quirky and innovative and interesting.
So first things first, and I'm just going to jump right in because I don't have a script. Quick take on the current state of commerce and where commerce fits into the landscape. Obviously, the market's changed and we're all experiencing it. Search isn't search anymore. Customers are essentially the new channel. Brands, regardless of size and market, need to figure out how to connect with customers and prospects independent of channel and with value and at scale and with profitability. And I'd also argue, a modern commerce stack requires something that's composable, open, and flexible. You've helped create and elevate this brand. What's your vision for shaping the commerce brand and where we're heading?
For me, it's all about the passion of our merchants and what they bring to bear. We have so many interesting customers on our platform and utilizing Feedonomics. They're so passionate about their brands, about what they do. And for me, it's not just about helping them sell, it's about helping them to connect and discover and adapt. And that really, to me, is the heart of our brand, Commerce, which is the parent, of course, of BigCommerce, Feedonomics, and MakeSwift.
Yeah, I mean, I think you and I talked about this a long time ago when you first joined. Authenticity and humanizing these sorts of experiences is key, especially going through transformation, going through a rebrand. Certainly, you want people to buy into it, including ourselves, obviously. It's not staged, it's not manufactured, it's not plastique. I mean, whatever, description you want to use, it really needs to connect and humanize. Why, I have my own opinion on this. Why does that matter? Does it matter? I guess, do you agree with me? And you don't have to, by the way, you're under no obligation.
Thank you. I do agree with you. And I think for me, one of the reasons that we chose the brand name Commerce, it is the category But the word commerce itself speaks to everybody, right? It speaks to brands and merchants and developers and partners and shoppers. And everybody instantly knows what it is that we're talking about. It's not just the transaction, but it's the connection and the innovation. So for me, that was one of the primary reasons why we adopted this brand as our name and why we're going to market the way we're going to market.
At the end of the day, it's customer centricity, agreed. Like, I think a lot of product companies, having come from services, maybe I'm a little bit biased. I'm very, very committed to business outcome and customer outcome. I think product companies tend to operate maybe a little more narcissistically. And listen, I don't mean it disrespectfully. I think every platform, most software providers in many capacities have taken more credit for their client success than credit is due. And as a result, they tend to talk more about themselves and what it is they're doing. I think walk me through just the customer centricity and how that also plays into the brand and sort of our own ethos as we continue to kind of harmonize what it is we're doing in market and how we've kind of redefined who we are.
Yeah, customers are really at the heart of everything we do as a company. One of the primary things that stood out to me as I joined the company was this outstanding love that the customers have for us and the way we interact with them and the way we support them. So really, our loyalty to them and their loyalty to us is like this mutual giving relationship. And, one of the things that I love so much, like I said before, is just kind of this really quirky passion that they have for what it is that they're selling and how they're going to market. And us being part of that journey with them means everything to us as a company, to our employees, and I think to our customers as well. We're part of that whole connected ecosystem that they're working inside of.
It's kind of in retro now because we just wrapped our APAC BigSummit last week in Sydney. I was over for that and still reasonably jet lagged, if you can't tell from my eyes. Not slept in 2 or 3 days, but we had our North American BigSummit here in Austin in August, and obviously our EMEA one back in the spring. I always find that forum an amazing sort of medium to bring together kind of prospects, customers, partners, obviously employees. It's the one time of year in market where you get to kind of bring all of that together in a very short period of time, right? It happens over like a day or two. So it's super intense and a high volume in many ways. And then we obviously have, partner and customer advisory boards as part of it as well. Like, I thought it was interesting this year more so than most because it was as we launched the brand, obviously in Austin, and getting that real-time feedback and just watching the reaction from people. And then obviously being able to objectively take in the insights and the experience from both partners and customers and prospects alike. Beyond that, through the lens of a CMO and someone who's worked in the space for a long time on the software side, which I have not. I always find it fascinating to hear other people's experience and how they draw comparison to other places maybe you've worked. So would love the good, the bad, the ugly there from your perspective, if you wouldn't mind sharing.
Yeah, sure. I think one of the best aspects to having BigSummit was really getting that direct customer feedback. I had a lot of one-on-ones with customers, and it was really interesting that I was meeting people who sold hot sauce. I was meeting people who sold diamond cutting blades for pavement. These really interesting slices of the market that they're so passionate about, and they really just want to win, and they want to get their fair share. And so I think one of the takeaways that I had from speaking to these customers and to our partners as well is that our rebrand really signals this leadership in the space. And it's not just a symbol of change, but truly, how do we help them get out and lead themselves as we are trying to lead as a software company ourselves? So it was really an interesting, I would say, transformation from our old brand to our new brand. And the way that customers and partners reacted was so authentic and so enthusiastic that it was a joyful moment for me, for sure.
We've got like an eclectic, amazing mix of merchants that have run on this platform for a long time that I find fascinating. Like you just unpack these different merchants and different markets and things I've never heard of and have, actually really unique use cases. And like every other brand are authentically telling their story and narrative in market, in public view. And we're helping facilitate that, which makes us obviously really proud. But one of the reasons I loved the tagline of Keeping Commerce Weird, just the fact that we're based in Austin and there is a quirkiness and authenticity to the city of Austin for those that haven't spent time here. Not only a great college town, but having lived in Texas for a long time, mostly up in northern Texas and Dallas, Austin has an incredibly unique vibe that is in and of itself. And probably the long-timers here are pissed off because of the infrastructure and the crowds and all of those things. So I deeply appreciate that. But having spent time everywhere else here and coming here, it marches to the beat of its own drum. And I think the company does too. And I think we're trying to embrace that in the spirit of this podcast. One of the ideas coming into it was, how do we celebrate this really eclectic mix of like weird customers that we have running on the platform for many, many years? So the hope is on every episode, we'll kick around a couple of these. And Michelle, you have the great honor. Like, is there a merchant or two that jumps out at you as one of your faves?
Ooh, that's a really good question. So, of course, Hot Sauce Boss is amazing, and we love him for a number of reasons. But the one that really sticks out to me, I grew up, my high school years in Minnesota, is Northland Lefse, and they make these crepe-like potato pancakes, and you
betcha. Yeah, sure.
Betcha. You have them around the holidays, so it's kind of like Thanksgiving, Christmassy. And it's very Norwegian and it's very regional. And they have this bustling business of selling lefse online all year long. And I'm imagining that they have a huge increase around the holidays. But it's such an interesting business and it's so niche-y to kind of where I grew up. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I've got a couple of Minnesota questions. By the way, I know these guys. I've actually gone to their site a few times, and I know, having many friends that have grown up in Minnesota, and their affinity for it, whether they live there still or not, these guys have a pretty big business of ex-Minnesotans that have moved to other parts of the country that want kind of a bit of Minnesotan around the holidays and things like that, which I think is fantastic. But here's my Minnesota question.
Okay.
Having lived in Chicago for 10 years, after college, I realized in the cold weather, and I grew up in the cold, but not that cold. In Chicago, people just eat and drink and watch sports and stuff in the winter. Whereas Minnesota, people are like out, like doing stuff, cross country skiing or ice fishing or snowmobiling or luging or whatever else goes on up there. Is it because they love those activities, or is it just an excuse to drink? Or both?
It is definitely an excuse to drink, for sure.
That was my hypothesis. All right.
Ice fishing is really just sitting in a hut drinking with a line into the ice, and you just sit there and watch TV and drink all day. That's all there is to it.
And that's okay. I mean, I understand why that's hard to sell at home, but like, we can own it. That's cool. Yeah. I have friends that do it, are accomplished, I guess. I don't know what the skill is. I don't know if you're teasing the line or got different bait or whatnot, but that's a whole nother episode. I think on my side, one of my favorites, although eclectic, is a merchant called Cattle Visions. They are essentially an online catalog of bull specimen, or in some parts of the country also referred to as semen, for cattle breeding, which honestly is kind of a fascinating business. I mean, for someone who grew up in Connecticut outside New York and probably hadn't seen a cow in person till I was in my 20s, the brand and the business is actually fascinating. There's a number of different elements of it. I would be lying if I didn't say I've appreciated some of the photography as it relates to people promoting, obviously, some of their cattle out there. There's some looks that I may borrow myself in photographs and profiles or whatnot. I don't know.
Profile?
Maybe. Maybe. I got some good ideas. I couldn't do any worse than I am already. But yeah, depending on the breed and the niche, obviously there's different themes. But again, another example of really interesting merchants that have been on the platform for a long time, that run an amazing business, that is just interesting to kind of learn about. There's a cuckoo clock merchant called Bavarian Clockworks, which I don't know how many kids are listening. I don't know, when I was a kid and maybe when you were a kid, like, I don't know, cuckoo clocks were kind of a thing. I don't know, it was like celebrated in like Woody Woodpecker or like Saturday morning cartoons or whatnot. But I felt like having a cuckoo clock as a kid, like if one of your friends had one or you had one, like, I would say arguably it was fairly normal. I don't think anyone would look at it and go, whoa, what the heck is that? You don't see them as frequently anymore. Of course, I'm not invited into a lot of people's homes, so maybe it has something to do with me personally. But in the few occasions that I am, I've not noticed a lot of cuckoo clocks. And these guys literally make authentic German, obviously Bavarian cuckoo clocks, handcrafted, obviously very expensive and well done, but just, again, another appreciation for a niche in market that you rarely think of, and how we bring that to life online. I mean, this is kind of a personal question, but did you have a cuckoo clock when you were a kid?
I went on a trip with my mom to Salzburg, Germany, and we went on the Sound of Music tour, which was amazing because you sing along in a bus full of people singing all of the Sound of Music songs. But we also toured a cuckoo clock factory, and I wanted to buy one, but they're really, really, really expensive. So we went through and I learned about all the craftsmanship that goes into all of the intricate parts of building a cuckoo clock. There's like spinning dancers, and there's like the weighted pine cone things, and it's amazing. And the sounds that they make, it's amazing, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's like it. I mean, listen, I have very few skills, and certainly with my hands, I do not have the hands of a surgeon. I have the penmanship of one, but not the hands. And I'm a board game guy too, like playing the old game Operation, Don't Touch the Sides. I was a disaster and an easy mark to bet against on it. So I can only imagine the level of detail and skill required to kind of building these things from scratch is, it is literally a piece of art. I don't know how long it takes, actually. We should have them on the show. I would love to go. My parents never took me to A, Germany, or B, a cuckoo clock factory. Just another thing I can blame my parents on in life. All right. Listen, Michelle, this was amazing. As always, I always value our time together, and I appreciate you carving out time in your day to do my little inaugural podcast here. So, deeply appreciative of the input and the time, and thank you for everything you and the team obviously do. But thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
It was an honor. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you all for joining. We'll talk to you soon.